didn't want him to overhear their complaints and get the idea that they hadn't wanted to come. The actual sight of Petaybee, receding to a cold, white and gray ball, seemed no more real than its image on the screens. The cabin's pressure and gravity were so well maintained that the ship might have still been on the ground. They could not hear or smell or taste the passage or feel it in the wind that was not there. They felt no sensation of lifting or moving. The water in the tank didn't so much as slosh, but the Honu and Sky swam to the side to watch the departure. Then Sky tagged the Honu's shell, and they began their game afresh. The Twins and Sky had become swimming friends before they were sent away to Marmy's space station school. When they returned, Sky was waiting to help them find their missing father, even though he had been lost at sea where river otters didn't ordinarily go. For their sake, the otter had even allowed himself to be transported in a helicopter, which was how he, as the first and only otter of any kind to inhabit Petabye's skies, however briefly, had earned his name. Sky, the Sky Otter. Murel hoped that now that the little fellow was going into space, he wouldn't want to change his name to Space. She'd just got used to calling him Sky. As soon as the ship was free of Petabye's gravity, the Twins and Keola unstrapped and raced to the tank to swim with the Honu and Sky. Keola climbed the ladder to the top of the tank. The ladder had a staging platform at the top and was situated right beside the wide water slide that ended in a shallow pool from which the water was recirculated into the tank. Sky and otterkind in general loved to slide. Also, when it came time to remove the Honu from the pool, the slide would allow the tortoise to descend to the pool without injury. Murel clambered up the ladder behind Keola and pulled off her clothes, so that she wore only the harness holding the tiny bag containing her dry suit. A passing crew member would have seen only a brief flash of white skin and dark hair before she dived into the water. Instantly, she transformed into a silver-brown seal and streaked through the water after Keola, Sky, and the Honu. A moment later, they were joined by Ronan, also in seal form. The water was saline to suit the Honu, but it didn't smell or taste quite right to the Twins. No fish, for one thing. Still, it felt wonderful to be wet again. They dived, surfaced, splashed, tackled, were tackled, escaped and dived again, until Sky suddenly said, "River seals! Look!" He swam to the front of the tank where Marmy stood. She was saying something as she looked up toward the top of the tank. Keola, who had to go up for air more frequently than the others, was on the surface. He dived again, touched each of the Twins, and pointed toward the top of the tank. Then, with a pump of his arms and a thrust from his muscular brown legs, he shot upward. Sky streaked past everyone and flung himself through the opening at the top of the tank that formed the lip of the water slide. "Ha!" he cried. "Otters first!" Keola surfaced almost at once, followed by the Twins. At the bottom of the slide, they jumped onto the wet deck and shook themselves dry until they resumed human shape. A privacy screen installed beside the pool provided cover for them to pull their dry suit packets from the harnesses on their backs and pop into the suits before joining anyone else who happened to be in the lounge. When they came out, Keola and Marmy were sitting in bright cushioned chairs, sipping from tall drinks on the table between them. Sky sat on another chair, grooming his coat. A pot and 4 cups for tea sat on the table, along with a plate of chocolate biscuits. When Murel picked one up, she found it was just baked warm. Marmy smiled as they approached and took the other 2 chairs. "Ah, mes petits, I am sorry to interrupt your play, but we need to talk." "Certainly, Marmy," Ronan said, sitting erect and using his best manners. Marmy had changed out of the white fur-trimmed